All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Marketplace Mavericks. We are back again with another episode, and we have our first prep center here today. Um, hey guys, why don't you introduce yourselves?
Hey, how's it going? So I'm Joel.
I'm Laura,
We're Zero Tax Prep Center.
Yeah, so
located
you
in
two are
Delaware.
out of the beautiful tax-free state of Delaware,
Yes.
Yes.
which everybody with a prep center absolutely loves to be tax-free. Um, and was that a real deciding factor of where you guys, or do you just happen to live in Delaware and that's where it made sense?
Yeah, so we actually live in Maryland, and just being such close proximity to Delaware, we decided, that would definitely be the way to go, considering there's only, I believe it's 5 states in the country that are tax free. So, when we were starting the prep center, we knew that, OA clients would probably initially be the bulk of what we got. So we definitely wanted to choose, the right state to do that. So that's how
Do
we
you guys have
ended
Yeah,
a
up.
well,
warehouse in Delaware, and you guys live in Maryland and just make the commute, or
Yeah, we make the commute and we have a warehouse in Delaware.
Yeah.
cool?
yeah,
Yep.
well, I found these guys. I found Laura on X or Twitter or
Yep.
whatever we call it today. Right around the time when I was getting ready to need a prep center and I was transitioning into wholesale. And yeah, just so happened to find these guys on there. And I had talked to probably 4 or 5 prep centers. I think a couple of them were just like a complete overkill, and they were too large of prep centers. They didn't really want anything to do with me. And then some of them I had phone interviews, and I wasn't really comfortable with going with them. And then I found you guys, and why don't you guys tell me a little bit, or everyone else, because I know the backstory. Tell me your backstory of like where you guys came from and what brought you to opening a prep center.
Yeah, so just right away to like clear up because last week, like appreciate the shout out and everything with the military background and all. But just to clear that up, like we were only ever on the civilian side. Neither of us were active military.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
okay, okay.
Um, but that being said, most people probably don't even know there's a whole civilian workforce behind the Army. And that's what we worked in. So we're supply chain logistics, we're both supply systems analysts, in the office, working spreadsheets, working different systems, and a lot of things that we probably really shouldn't talk about. It's kind of why we were a little bit more private overall and just like not sharing that information and everything. But I started the Amazon journey myself, just selling on Amazon. So I did the RA thing for a bit, back in September 2022, I think is when I started that.
Yeah.
I even did the ordered stuff on Alibaba and sold some Chinese, knockoff stuff and everything. Initially, didn't know anything about it. Thank God I never got banned for that. Um, but then went to the OA side eventually, and then eventually went to wholesale. So I really thought Amazon was just going to be a side hustle for me overall. Something to make a little extra money on the side and everything. And then
A lot of prepping at home,
yeah,
a lot of deliveries, a lot of my dining room being covered with stuff in my basement. And I'm like, oh, this side hustle's really taking over.
oh yeah,
From a
yeah,
wife's perspective.
yeah. The dining room was always full of inventory,
Yeah.
as always, and then the garage and everything else. So
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and I even actually had used a couple different prep centers before, so that was great. Honestly, now, and starting one, it was great to use other prep centers, kind of get an idea of how things go, and try to model like what we wanted to do differently ultimately. And that being like one of our biggest things is just customer service and trying to like really build a real relationship with clients and everything and all of that.
Be a business partner with our clients, not so much that you're having an issue when you're getting a virtual assistant every time or nobody answers your email in a week. Anybody who's our client knows they can talk to him 24 hours. he's there ready to answer questions. He's on WhatsApp, and our clients, we have really good relationships with them.
Yeah, and actually, I guess to circle back to the job experience. So I was in that career for 16 years. I'm not quite over the hill, but I am a 40-year-old guy, so I'm definitely old over the hill in this, genre of selling on Amazon or being a prep center. Laura here was 18 years in the career.
Mhm.
And ultimately we both left six-figure salary careers to do this full time. And a lot of it has to do with some of the changes and everything that occurred, coming into the new year and pretty much losing all our flexibility that we previously had. It
Was a leap of faith, and it's
yeah,
been an adventure, and it's been fun and rewarding, and we're doing it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, Jill,
I think one of the biggest things with you guys was, and I always really see it on within my online groups and just overall on social media. The biggest complaint people have with prep centers is communication.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
just constantly, I can't get a hold of my prep center. Stuff has been sitting there
Mhm.
for 4 days. They're not, they don't email me back, and that is something with you guys that just doesn't happen. Joel, you're
Right.
always
That's good.
And that's by
texting.
design.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're always texting back, and it doesn't mean, hey, your stuff's going to get out in 24 hours. It doesn't mean that, and I don't think most
Yeah.
sellers have to have that because that's not realistic. Mistakes
Right.
are
Mhm.
going to happen. Like a lot of times, it's not the mistake that you make; it's how you handle it. And if you're just upfront saying
Exactly.
like, "Hey, this isn't getting out today. This will get out today." Hey, we got this in. Joel, you text me a couple times like, "Hey, I know that they said that they were mailing you this, but uh, they just sent everything in a big bag and nothing's in packages."
Yeah.
Because especially with OA stuff, like my
Yeah.
VA bought something from somewhere he shouldn't have bought, and a lot of places will just be like, "Oh, well, whatever." It said
Yeah.
three of them, throw three in a bag and send it out. And you were like, hey, this doesn't really look right. And I think as part of that is from you selling on Amazon. So you kind of know what you're looking at.
Yes.
When a bag shows
Definitely.
up, it's like, that's not supposed to look like that.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, that's going the extra mile, which isn't a lot of extra effort from you. And it doesn't mean I want to hear, like, I just ordered a bunch of garbage, but
Yeah.
I did. So you need to hear.
Yeah, I try to say it, nicely and everything, but yeah.
Yeah,
Stuff happens,
exactly.
but that's what's great, and really like I try to use my own experience selling to really help out clients. And that ultimately is the goal, is to help our clients grow. Because I mean, if you guys grow, then we grow too, and we want everybody to be successful. So um that's really like
And prepping
yeah.
at home too.
Yeah,
Prepping
well,
stuff
that's
at
a big
home
thing.
was a big thing.
We can tell like the difference of people that have prepped and not prepped before, and just in some of the, items and categories and things
Mhm.
they sell or choose, and all of that. So definitely having that experience before, especially I wasn't somebody that talked to a lot of other sellers at all. Like I didn't join groups, I didn't do any of that stuff. Like, I've really kept this private, especially because of my career. It was really a side thing that we did
Mhm.
not talk about with anyone. And so when I finally got into opening the prep center, it's like, wow, I can like talk to sellers. I can like,
Mhm.
we can like communicate. This is great. Like I'm excited about it. I really enjoy like being able to connect with different sellers and our clients and everything. And it's really been it's been a ride, but it is great.
Yeah.
so Joel, I did have a few. I actually only had one question coming into this podcast, but now I have quite a few because after hearing you guys talk, I'm just kind of getting excited about the idea of owning a prep center and starting a prep center. But I'm curious what the inspiration was for starting your prep center. You guys have had experience with logistics like you said in the military, but what really, you started reselling? What made you say, well, you know what? Let's talk about maybe starting a prep center and going that route. Where does that
Yeah,
come
I
from?
mean, so like pretty much to talk about the background, like career background a little bit more, like inventory management was part of what we did, So demand planning, all of that kind of stuff. Like that is all very familiar overall. So we figured, being that we're able to manage selling and all of that, we'd be able to manage other clients as well. So essentially just being able to grow a business from just a few clients to much larger and being able to deal with like the total volume of inventory that would look like.
And really, you were growing to a point that we weren't going to be able to have him keep the 9 to 5 in the volume that he was starting to sell at. So it was like he was going to need a prep center. And we were like, there's so many sellers out there. This prep center thing's a niche, tax-free state. We've kind of always had a dream of being entrepreneurs too. And it was always like, probably wouldn't happen in our life, but maybe it would. And like, this was just the year that it was like, yeah, let's take a shot at this. This seems cool. We love this. And the more we were getting into Amazon and learning more about it, listening to so many different podcasts, we were like, wow, this is like, we could do this. And I think we could do this good.
Did you guys start in your garage as a prep center, or did you automatically go trying to find a warehouse and
No,
start there?
so
Finding a location, it was fun.
yeah, that's been a challenge overall. But we started in I don't even know if you would call it, you wouldn't quite call it a basement, but it was the under
Like a garage.
yeah, it was the underside of a plaza. So like there was a very small old plaza where on the back side they had all garages, and it was a commercial address and everything else. So that's what we needed to get started. And then we just very quickly outgrew that. So it was great because the overhead was very inexpensive,
Yeah.
but it just wasn't realistic, you know. But when we first started, we didn't know what this was going to look like.
Yeah.
I actually thought that maybe we would carry on our own selling a bit more initially and make that a bit more of the business overall. And maybe someday we'll get back to that a little bit because, like I said, we're in wholesale, and we're in a niche category and everything for the most part. So we don't even have any issues of like running into where like we're selling similar things to our clients or anything like that. It just doesn't happen even now. So maybe someday we'll get back to like growing that a little bit, but the actual prep center took off so much. We're like, well, I think we're just going to keep going with this. And like I said, it's very familiar considering like what we came from in our backgrounds. So it just made sense overall to keep growing this thing that was working for us.
But we love our new location.
Yes.
It's been great.
Yeah,
I
our
bet a
new
lot of
location.
people. Now, go ahead, Joel. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, our new location's great. 2 garage doors. The only thing we don't have right now, we definitely don't have a loading dock. So we appreciate John doing wholesale. We actually would like to try to get a little more of that as well. But loading dock is something, I don't know if this will be the final move or if we'll be moving again someday. It just depends.
Okay. Well, speaking of overhead, and Blake, I know you have a few questions as well, so I'll ask this last one before we transition. But I'm curious, as far as costs go, what are sort of your overhead costs, or what are the costs that it takes to start a prep center, and then I guess even recurring costs as well.
Yeah, I mean, biggest cost overall is going to be the location, the warehouse, and then your staff. I mean, it's staff it really can eat up a lot. And if you look at prep centers and what they charge, we really tried to be honestly, we tried to be less than most of them that are out there. We wanted to be competitive. There's some things that we didn't charge for initially that we now have to charge for, just because of the amount of time and space and everything else that it takes for us. But really, like the 2 main things is going to be the warehouse and staff, and then overall, like your poly bags, your SKU labels, all that kind of stuff or whatever, like that's kind of all just built into your pricing. But yeah, the warehouses and we're cramped now, like we're in a pretty tight space overall. So, and we are a small operation, we're like a small family operation. So we definitely didn't want to grow too quickly, so that we lose that like quality and speed that we're having right now and that customer service and all. So we're still trying to figure it out as far as like what this looks like, and do we eventually end up in a bigger space, or we just keep it what we're at, you know?
That's great. I know that you guys in the customer service business, that is definitely something that is completely lacking, unfortunately, in almost every industry. And so I think you guys bringing
Yeah.
that side of it, that you guys have a pulse on the customer, is a huge advantage to you guys. And so great job on that side of it. But as a person, yeah, yeah. And so as a I'm a fairly new seller, just like these other guys. What does it look? I'm just curious. What does it look like from a guy on my side? I'm sending things to you, and you guys simply prep it. Walk me through. What does that look like?
Good question.
Yeah, I mean, so pretty much you send inventory to us. We're going to receive it. We use ScanPower as our inventory management software, which actually has an API connection. It's very similar to like an inventory lab or something like that, or a Boxum. The one difference being that we use purchase orders in ScanPower to actually identify the inventory that's coming to us. So like instead of, that's one of the things we do differently than some of the other prep centers. We don't use a spreadsheet for the most part, as far as shared files between us. The client actually adds their inventory to a purchase order, which shows us, you know, exactly the order quantity, any kind of notes, all that information. And then we're, you know, opening up the boxes, receiving that, you know, checking them in. They get prepped either, you know, basically to Amazon standards, so whatever's required, poly bags and everything else, FNSKU labels. And then they're going on the shelf until the client's ready for a shipment. So it's just, we kind of agree upon, you know, a minimum shipment quantity depending on the client. So like if you're a new seller, it might just be 50 units, you know, you get 50 units in and we're going to ship that out for you as soon as you get 50 units here.
Okay.
If you're a bigger seller, you have recurring shipments every week, you know. And if you're John, you get shipments like, you know, in the next 24 hours, depending on if he finally gets ungated or not.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, he was for my storage facility for a couple weeks. Like luckily that brand was not big and bulky.
And I was following you on here, and I would get excited. I'm telling them, I think John's might be a good suggestion.
Hey, it's
Yeah.
it all worked out. That wonderful brand is going
We're
to
all
sign.
learning.
Yeah, and we learned a lot with that one.
Yeah.
And I would think one of the hardest parts for your business is forecasting. Like how much
Definitely.
is much, how much is too little. You know, how steady people are, because like, you know, even me, like I'm a good example. I've expected to scale. I'm scaling really quickly, but as I'm scaling in the brand direct categories, just where I've had my luck. You know,
Yeah.
some of these brands are offering to self prep for me, which obviously I know that anybody that's in the business, like, well, yeah, that's a no brainer. They're
Yeah.
doing it for you for free. So, you know, that's it. That's it. Might be lost business for you, but you can't really blame anyone for doing that.
Not at
So, you
all.
know,
Yeah.
someone like me, I was like, oh, I'm going to scale with these guys really fast. And now I'm like, oh, maybe it's a little slower because now these three brands are going to prep for me, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to need a prep center at some point. So now all of a sudden, you know, my quantity levels go down and then somebody
Yeah.
else's pick up. Not everybody is just, hey, they use a distributor and they're doing, you know, 7,000 units a month every month, no matter what. Especially people starting off, you know, I'm up, I'm down, I'm over here. They're prepping for me. They're not prepping for me. This is a test order, stuff
Yeah.
like that. So tell us about how the forecasting of hiring people, because obviously hiring somebody, they're only going to make you money if they're producing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that really is one of the biggest challenges for sure. And, you know, and I get it. Like, I think that's one of the things that sellers who use prep centers probably don't realize, like how much of an issue that can be for the prep center overall, and why they might be slow to turn around the inventory and different things like that. Because I can say right off the bat, like I know I was probably a horrible prep client in the past when I had used other prep centers, because it's like you know, at the time, maybe I only sold a couple hundred units a month or whatever. And I'm like, you know, 50 units got there. Like, why are they not out yet? Like, why have they not been turned around and shipped out? And it's like, well, you're just not priority there.
Right.
And it's not even just priority. It's like, you know, it's hard to manage that, especially if you have, you know, maybe you only get, you get a lot of your inventory in the beginning of the month for certain clients, and then they kind of, you turn that inventory around for them. And then maybe they don't send you anything for like several weeks, you know? So it is definitely hard to judge the amount of staff to have in that situation, as far as like, are you taking on too many clients? Do you have enough clients? And then,
Keeping your promises to the clients we have.
yeah,
I think Q4 will be a good like judge for us of
yeah, where we're at.
where we're at after this.
Definitely. We've
Whether
actually,
we can bring more people on or need to bring more people on as clients and staff.
yeah, I think we've even kind of like held back a little bit just in preparation for Q4 to make sure that, you know, if some of our clients actually double or triple in size during that time, that we're not going to get bogged down. And because again, you hear horror stories of, you know, being backed up weeks, and on top of it, you're getting into the time where, you know, a lot of people get sick and everything else. So to your point, like staffing issues, you could have people calling out and everything else or whatever. So yeah, it's definitely been a challenge figuring out as far as staffing, you know, do we have enough? Do we have too many?
Right.
You know, it just kind of works like that. But like I've said, we're trying to keep our team very small overall. You know, we don't want too many hands in the pot anyway, because we just don't, it's a way for us to manage and make sure that, you know, things don't end up missing, or things are controlled and everything else as well. So
We have a lot of
What's
family
yeah,
helping and
what's it like hiring? Because I know like I own people have asked me because I own some commercial property like warehouses and stuff like that, and people have come to me, they're like, oh, you're doing Amazon, you're going to open your own prep center. I'm like, no, absolutely
it's a whole
not.
other animal.
Yeah, I was like, that is another animal. I am not interested. I'm like, those warehouses I have, they are already rented out by wonderful people who give me a check every month, and I am not kicking them out for me to go in and screw it all up. Uh,
yeah,
and I'm also living on Cape Cod. I probably live in the worst place to have a prep center, because the first thing I think of is I wouldn't be able to hire any.
right.
Our issues with hiring here is horrible, and I would have to pay. Uh, I would have to pay. I would have to charge people like $5 an item in order
Yeah.
to in order to make
Yeah.
money. How is it hiring people? Have you been hiring families? Is it like, you know, to me, it kind of seems like it could be an after school job for somebody, you know, a
Yeah.
temp position, like, and obviously hiring just in general now in this sort of job, it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. The two of us are very in the warehouse, you know,
Yeah,
like
I think
I'm right there
you're
shipping.
You're
bad at
involved.
boxing.
Yeah, we're heavily involved. You know?
Plus,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
dad helps a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, my father-in-law, her dad,
He
he's an
was tired last year.
employee number
Oh,
one.
Put 'em to
my
work.
God.
Yeah, we call him employee number one because he was the one right by my side first initially starting this thing, and kind of, you know, he was there helping prep and all. So
Our sister-in-law is one of our best employees.
Yeah.
She's
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah.
So
And then we have family, friends, and people that, you know, will come in, especially like when needed, you know.
Mhm.
So if we get a bulk
we have people
shipment
we can call.
or something, we're calling them up to, you know, sit there and deal with, you know, 1,000 units or something or whatever.
But it is hard. It's hard finding like quality people that you want to let into
Yeah.
Your
this,
space.
you know?
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
not like you can't offer
Especially
huge
with being
wage
so
and like
fresh and
full-time.
new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a full-time job where someone's got to pay their mortgage, get health benefits and a pension. It's not that sort of
Right.
job. So but you still want
Right.
responsible people, so it's I'm sure that's a
Exactly.
fine line to like walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the hope for us eventually is to have that, you know, and we're getting there, but I think like having that person that is as skilled as one of the two of us and
Mhm.
everything, that'll be the biggest challenge, so that eventually we, you know, we can have a day off or something like that, you know.
Do you guys see yourself
So,
growing beyond where you're at right now in terms of even having additional prep centers?
I don't think ever more than one location, no,
Okay.
but I could definitely see us growing into that next chapter a little bit bigger. You know, we've seen it. It's kind of we get to see firsthand a little bit because the place that we're at, you know, there's multiple warehouses. Before you put it, no.
I think just breaks.
Okay. All right. Um, but yeah, there's multiple warehouses there. So, um, you know, one of the businesses that was in our current location actually moved into a much larger one that's right there. So we can kind of see what that looks like. You know.
And one of those things might be because you guys, I know it's not something I've ever done, but you guys don't do FBM.
So
Or
actually,
you haven't yet.
we've started doing
Started.
a
We do.
little bit. Yeah. So like we're kind of like testing the waters with that. We're trying to figure out what system to use and everything else. We have one client that we do a shared account with their VQ account. So
Mhm.
basically like we have user access to that. We're doing a little bit of FBM, but mainly like for items, you know, they came in and maybe they're too close to expiration date or something like that, you know, initially. But again, everything is like geared around not slowing us down. So we don't want to take away from our
Right.
current, you know, movement
Right.
here. And eventually, again, the hope with that would probably be to have a staff member that deals with just FBM, you know, when we get
Yeah,
there.
because I know FBM, and I've never done it, but I know that around the holidays it gets popular
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
because the people just don't have time to get it in. So like it's that rush. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's a lot of work for the FBM.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be. Honestly, one of the biggest things with that too is if the seller is able to set up their shipping settings and all of those things, because there's really a lot to know in that, you know, and making sure that you're getting it right so your shipping charges aren't all messed up or you're, you know, paying way too much for shipping.
Right. Yeah, no, that is the whole reason why I never touched FBM.
Yeah.
You still do a lot of FBM, I think, Pete, but
Yeah,
like,
we do it. We do FBM and FBA both, but I think that we're start to focus more on FBM going into the fourth quarter, like you were talking about, John. I did have a question though, Joel, about products. And so the products that are sitting in your warehouse, do you have to like buy any sort of insurance that like should something happen to your warehouse and all the products that are in there,
Oh,
that are
yeah.
somebody else's, you know, inventory? If something happens to those, I mean, how does that sort of pan out?
Yeah, so we have, you know, basic liability insurance and then insurance as far as like coverage for, you know, our expected value of inventory that's at the warehouse and all of
Mhm.
that at any given time. And then, you know, as far as having employees, then workers' compensation insurance and all of that. So that's definitely part of the overhead. I think because we're a small operation overall, it's not a huge amount.
Mhm.
And it was really adding to, so like once you get 10,000 in sales or more on Amazon, you're supposed to have a general liability policy anyway. So
Mhm.
yep.
I had that and been carrying that and then just basically added to that all the additional stuff. You
Yeah,
know?
we haven't had to buy or have had to get an insurance policy just yet. I guess we're not there. But
Yeah.
one of the questions that I had in terms of that is if something does happen to the products in your warehouse and the seller, I guess, will be reimbursed for those products, are they reimbursed for the cost of the products? Or are they reimbursed for what they would sell them for? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I would think it would be based on the proof that you had. Again, I mean, as far as that's concerned, that's the insurance company and
Right.
everything. You know, they
I'm
would know
sure
that. But
I'm going to
I
guess
would,
cost.
yeah, I would
Cost.
just expect costs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They would be able to show
Yeah.
their invoice or a receipt, and that's what they would get back.
Right.
I mean, you know, that's
Yeah. And you know, Amazon themselves are the only one to get to undercut you, even in what you pay
yeah,
you know,
Amazon's
as
yeah,
far as
They're
what
not
they
losing.
reimburse.
No, Amazon just gives you whatever they feel like that day.
Yeah.
We've all learned that Amazon likes to make up some rules as they go, but that's okay. It is what it is. So what else you got, Blake, for these guys before we let them go today?
Let's just some general question here, but like, how do you guys, because we get asked this, and I have before as a dad. I mean, you guys are young parents, I'm assuming. You get asked
We have
like,
an
how do
11
you?
and an 8-year-old.
Okay, yeah,
Oh,
I'm right at that. I got an 8-year-old and a 14-year-old, so
Okay.
both of them girls. So I got lots of estrogen running around the house. But how do you guys manage the work life at work and home life, having the young children yet owning your business?
Honestly, as like a working mom, I love this because he drops the kids off to school in the morning. I go open up the warehouse and automatically I'm checking things in. I leave early to go pick my kids up. He'll be the one to stay late. And we have my parents luckily nearby, so they're there to help us out when we need to work overtime and stuff. And we have a lot of family support, which helps when you're starting a business.
For sure.
sounds
But
familiar.
the kids also, if we're working on the weekends, hey, you're coming to the warehouse and hang out
Yeah.
in the office. We have a TV.
Child
fun.
labor.
My
Child labor,
daughter
baby.
has her remote control robot and she's going
Yeah.
around the warehouse with it and sitting in boxes and
Make
it's
it an
great. I mean, my
experience.
daughter will say she was the first she was our first
Oh yeah, she's the
because
first worker.
she used to be sticking stickers on in the garage with him and they know all about prep.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Well,
great.
that's the same stuff. I have twin 12-year-old daughters turning 13 in like a couple
Yeah.
months. Just
Yeah.
we're dad's okay.
What are you, Dad?
Yeah. And they prepped for me over the winter when I started all this.
Yeah.
They were a little confused on how to do it. I still remember I've told Pete and Blake this story of one of their friends who luckily has been a friend of the family since they were very young was over the house and on the phone with her dad, and she was FaceTiming her dad and she was like, yeah, I don't know why, but John has like 50 pairs of girls' underwear all over the
Oh my
house.
gosh, yes.
And luckily, I know her dad, and I remember saying, I'm like, hey, Brooke, we need to give a little context. We need to give a little context, or you're not going to be allowed to come over anymore.
We've lived that. That's that's too familiar. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is true. You bring them in, you bring them around, but like owning your own business
They just become part of it.
Yeah,
They
and
do.
sometimes it's flexible and not flexible. You usually have to
Right.
work a lot of hours, but one of you can get out and go get one while the other is working, and then you just tag team it and you go back and forth and you just make it work. And that's part of a lot what we all talk about. Pete's a little ahead of us. Your kids are a little older.
Oh yeah. I have one in college and yeah, I think we've our nest is empty. Is that how they say it?
Yeah, you guys are empty nesters. But yeah, we always talked about like it's a juggle. Like it's a juggling act, but it's fun and it's worth it. And yeah, you gotta have the family, you gotta have somebody to hand them off to, or you just bring them with you.
And you need somebody to take over when you can't be there.
Exactly. So yeah, we really appreciate you guys coming on today.
Thank you.
Kind of tell us about, the other part of selling on Amazon that a lot of people, before you know it, you're going to need a prep center. And I know, Joel, you guys are looking for no more OA right now, but are you open to more wholesale clients possibly?
Yeah, and not anything against the OA thing. We're definitely I'm just being a little bit more selective on do we have enough space and time and everything, and do we have the capacity to deal with the OA? The wholesale, we're just able to get through that a little bit quicker at times. So we're just trying to bring on a little bit of that, but there's still is some room for OA. I'm actually probably onboarding a new client this evening. So but yeah.
We're just being cautious going into Q4, making sure that our current clients are happy with the first Q4. And then after the dust settles there, kind of pick it back up and see where we're at.
Awesome. Well, we're going to make sure that we put all your info in the links to this video. So anybody that wants to
Thanks.
can kind of check you out, get on a waiting
Yeah.
list if they want to, or
Yeah.
see where they're going.
Absolutely.
Because I will say, like, communication is key, and these guys kind of got the communication part down. And I think anybody
Thank you.
selling with
Thank you.
Amazon for a while has probably had some bad situations with prep centers, and it usually comes down to, yeah, I didn't hear from them.
I would
Is the
even
way to
echo
say it.
Yeah.
John. It's more than just I didn't hear it. It's they don't care. They're in another country. They're
Yeah.
this, they're that,
Yeah.
and you guys are real people caring about the customer. You want repeat business, and you will continue to have that because of your customer service.
Thank you.
Appreciate
And
it.
I love your guys' podcast. I love following all the journeys and seeing what you're doing. I can't wait to see what happens with all of you. It's awesome. Congrats on it.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
you.
thank you. We're old dogs trying to learn new tricks.
Well, I think you're cool.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you so much.
we're working on it. So, but thank you very much, and to everybody else, make sure you like and subscribe. You can comment on the videos, and we can answer any questions you guys have.
And if they have any questions, they can email us, John, at marketplacemavericks@gmail.com, marketplacemavericks@gmail.com.
All right. Until next time, guys. We will see you later.
Thank
All right,
you.
thanks.